is that time of the day where we do mental maths. And our mental maths, for those of you who were here on, when was it? Monday. Monday was our previous lesson. So if you were here on Monday, we did that chain with the fractions, and it kind of like stressed your brain a little bit. And we're going to do another one today. So we're going to see, okay, so always remember the aim is improvement, not perfection. If you are trying to be perfect, you're really going to disappoint yourself all the time. So aim for improvement. So I will show you the chain for those of you who weren't here on Monday, and I'll do the first few with you. And today we are turning it up a little notch because I do think we can challenge ourselves a little bit more. So today we're going to work with some mixed numbers. So we're going to say 4 1/8. And I then put another 3/8 with it. How many, what is my number then? What is my total? So I will still have 4, and 1/8 plus 3/8 gives me 4/8. Now 4/8, I think if I understand this correctly, that is a half. So in fact, what I've got here is 4 1/2. So if I add another half to it, then I get 5. Great. Okay. So just like the previous one, it sometimes switches over. So we switch over from eighths to fifths to halves, etc. So you got to think. So this one, now we're on 5, and we have to do something. So you see why it's different today. We're going to do some operation here. We have to add or subtract something to get to 4 3/5. So to go from 5 to 4 3/5, I think we're going to have to subtract. But what are we going to subtract? Can anyone put it in the chat? What do you think it is? What do we subtract from 5 to get 4 3/5? Not just 2. Put it in the chat if you have an answer. There we go. Someone has said 2/5. Nice, Daniela. So we subtract 2/5. Then we get 4 3/5. Okay, so I'm going to stop it there. I think you get the hang of it. I'm just going to put labels for us so that we know where our answers are. That's D, that's E. You can use the time to glance at the chain and what it is that you have to do from here. E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. All right, so I've done the first few, so we're only going to do 2 minutes today. Okay, actually 2.5 minutes, because I think on Monday I also gave you 2.5 minutes. So 2.5 minutes, fill it in as much as you can, and I'll tell you when time is up. Okay, ready and steady and go. You just do it there where you are on your page. Don't put it in the chat. Just do it there on a piece of paper where you are. Just write your letters and your answers. Thanks, Ms. Kat, for the instructions in the chat. We've got 1 more minute to go. Just do your best. Well done, everybody. You can stop. Let's see. So for those of you who have put in the chat that you're a little bit lost, don't worry. We are just adding and subtracting fractions. So listen up. It was the same as what we did on Monday when we started the lesson. Listen up now so that you can get it again next Monday, because we will be doing another one next Monday. Okay, so we're on 4 3/5, and we have to go down to 3 4/5. How many fifths must I take away to get 3 4/5? Put it in the chat. It's fine if you didn't finish. Remember, we check. We just check if we're improving. How many fifths do I have to take away? Guys, these answers must be fractions. So if you are putting 2 or 3 and those are wrong, it must be fractions. Okay, so if we are on 4 3/5, let's just go down to 4 first. So for that, I will take away 3/5. And then I'm on 4, but I have to take another fifth away to get to 3 4/5. So that is 4/5 in total to get to 3 4/5. 2/5 won't be enough. 2/5 will give you 4 1/5. There we go. So it's 4/5. And then if we have 3 4/5 and we take another fifth away, I have 3 3/5. And I take 3/5 away, then I have 3. Okay, so that's like a checkpoint so that you can see if you are going in the right direction. Woo, and now we go 3 and I add 3/10. So if I add 3/10 to 3, what do I get? 3 3/10. Now, if I add a fifth to 3 3/10, maybe if you ask a bit nicer, I will do that. Let's remember our manners, guys. So 3 3/10, and I add a fifth. So a fifth, you might know already, is actually 2/10. And remember, we said when it changes over, try and see if you can just get it the same. So 1/5 will be 2/10, so that is 3 5/10. And if you add a half to that, because 5/10 is a half, right? So if I add a half to 3 5/10, that gives me 4. And if you subtract from 4, 3/8, now I'm going to go down, right? I'm going to go smaller, so it must be 3. How many eighths in a whole? There are 8 eighths in a whole, so I subtract 3/8, and then I'm left with 3 5/8. And then if I subtract 6/8, then I'm going to take the 5/8 away, and I'm going to be on 2, and then there's still another one that I have to subtract, so that's going to give me 2 7/8. And then you add an 8, and you get 3. So that's another checkpoint for you to make sure that you actually did all the previous ones correctly. Okay, so 3 3/4. 3 plus 3/4 will give me 3 3/4. And if I add 2/8, that's the same. We are now looking at 3 3/4. So we can either say 3/4, what is that the same as? So if I'm looking at eighths, and you can use a fraction rule for that if you are still at that stage, we are using a fraction rule, that is no problem. So 2/8 is a quarter actually, so we're going to make it 4, because 3 3/4, and then I add a quarter, which is the same as 2/8, we get to 4. Okay, and then from 4 I subtract 7/10. So because I'm taking away, I'm going smaller, and because I'm taking 7/10 away, I'll be left with 3/10. And then I take 3 3/10, and I subtract another 7 of those. That's going to give me 2 and 3, and then another 4. So that's going to be 3/10. No, 4/10. 10 minus 3, 7/10. No, 6/10. There we go. 6/10, and that makes sense because if we then take away 3/5, we get 2. Alrighty. If you did well with that, it was a challenging one, so feel free to take a screenshot if you want, and to try it again later on. Remember, it is only by doing hard things that we grow and get better. So it was a Muscat. So even if you just got a few right, well done to you. And like I say, take a screenshot and you can definitely go try it again later. Right. Now back to something we did on Monday. It was with the Smarty fractions. And we actually had this question, and we were looking at fractions that are the same, that kind of connects with what we just did in mental maths as well. So you have been using, I think since grade 4, you were allowed to use a fraction wall. So it looks a bit like the one that I've got up on the board at the moment. And I think, is there anyone who still uses it? You can definitely still rely on your fraction wall to see which fractions are the same. Okay, so our question was here. I think just to remind you, Ms. Kat, what were we looking at? The question D and question E. Was it 6/7? Which is bigger, 6/7 or 8/9? So if we go to the 7ths over here, and we count 6 of them. So now you can see the wall nicely, and that's why I didn't want to try and draw it, because to draw it might just skew the whole thing, but I got this nice diagram. And if you look at it now and you say 6/7, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's going to go up to here, right? Because we've divided this unit into 7ths. And if we then go to the 9ths and we look where 8/9 are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. It's like there. Okay, so now you can see that 8/9 just by a slight little bit is bigger than 6/7. Okay, so if you're ever in doubt, draw a picture for yourself. It is absolutely fine. And then you can see that, see much clearer that the picture can show you which one is bigger. Okay, so that was question D. So for question E, we also asked which is bigger, 3/7 or 5/9? So if you go 3/7, so let me just do it in a different color. 3/7 are over here. 3/7 and 5/9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we can see that the 5/9 are bigger than the 3/7. But if we look at a 7th and a 9th, then we can see 1/7 is bigger than a 9th. Right, so I hope that answers the question. And we can carry on today. We are going to do more Smarty fractions. And let's go here first though. Speaking of diagrams and fractions, etc., we're just going to do this first. So I want you to just do the first 4 questions on your own. Don't put anything in the chat. And just answer the first 4 questions, A, B, C, and D. The diagrams are there. So in about 2 minutes time, we'll check back in and then just discuss what we have. Okay, so no questions in the chat. Guys, it's not question time yet, so please put your hands down. To answer your question, Tara Jane, about how do you do it without a fraction wall, you can definitely draw your own picture, okay? Picture is always there to help you solve a problem. Even when you get into high school and into the very advanced senior grades, you can still use pictures to help you answer a question. There is going to come a time where you will move away from using a fraction wall.
When do they do the lowest common denominator? I was wondering.
I think sometime in grade 7. Okay, so our 2 minutes are up. Let's have a look. So the first question with 2 answers, that's been done for you. So here we have a diagram, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Write difference fractions to describe the shaded portion of each diagram. Okay, so we've divided our diagram into 8s, and we've shaded 2 8s. But if we look at it, we can say that that's the same as a quarter as well. Let's go to our next diagram and we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So we've divided our diagram into 20 pieces. So how many pieces did we shade of the 20? Put your answer in the chat for the first one. 4 20ths, that's right. 4 20ths. Can we write that as another fraction? So if we maybe, is there another way that we can write it? Someone's saying 2 10ths. Yeah, that's a good one, 2 10ths. 2 10ths, if you take that same diagram and you kind of just do this, and you put them next to each other. Or you can simplify. Some of you know how to simplify, and then you get a 5th. Okay, so those fractions are all the same. They're all the same numbers stated in different ways. So, and the diagram shows it in the same way. Okay, let's go to C. So we've divided the diagram into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18ths. Okay, so what is our first one? Someone's saying 6 18ths. And what can we say is that the same as? That's a third. That's right. Because if I actually put those pieces together, I will see that a third of my diagram is shaded in. So if we just take that and we put it over here, then that actually gives you a third. Right. Or some of you are saying 3/9. That's fine too. Good. And then lastly, question D. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've divided into 16. So that's 4 out of 16. And or 4/16. What can we change that to? Matthew is saying 2/8. That's right. We can say that that is 2/8. Nice. Okay, so again, all of those are different representations of the same quantity, basically. So now we're going to look at our drawings and we're going to answer these questions. And I want you to think, what will half of a quarter be? What's half of a quarter? Look at the first diagram. That's where we had the quarters. So if we divided a quarter in half, so here's my quarter. If I divide that quarter, what is it? It's not a half. Look at the picture, guys. So if that's a quarter of my diagram and I divide that quarter in another half, how many pieces, what do I actually get? Not 2/8. That is half of a quarter. I'm coloring it in now. Look at the colored in part, just the pink part. Just ignore the blue part for now. The pink part, what is that? It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's an 1/8. If I divide a quarter in 2, if I take a quarter and I divide it in 2, I get an 1/8. Ms. Katz, there another way to say it maybe? It is what it is, so yeah. So I'll just do it again with the color for those of you who are struggling. Just look at this. So we're saying, what is half of a quarter? So a quarter is this part here in the diagram. We divide that in half. So 1/2 of that quarter is an 1/8 of the whole. Okay, there we go. Some light bulbs going on. All right, now we go to the 9ths. Half of a 9th. Okay, so let's go over here where we had the 9ths. Where was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So these were 18ths. So if we're going to, so think about this. There we go. Brilliant's got it. So if a quarter divided in half is an 1/8, then a 9th divided in half will be an 18th. That's right. That will be an 18th. Good stuff. Okay. Now let's go to where we had the quarter of 4/20. So here we had 4/20. And if we divide that into quarters, so this part here is a 20th, because this whole block we've divided into 20 different blocks. So if we divide that further, what will we get? And I keep going like that, and I keep dividing each block. What do I get? Am I making more blocks or am I making fewer blocks? Because some of you are saying it's a 1/5, but it can't be, because you need to divide each of these blocks. So if I divide 20 blocks into 4 parts, how many blocks do I end up getting? You're making more blocks. Yeah, you're right. So what do I get? If I divide a 20th into 4 blocks. Okay, let's think about this. So there's 20 blocks. I just sent Miss Cat a message. Miss Cat. Okay, so we've divided this block into 20. Now we are going to divide each block into quarters. So that I've done over there. Now I'm doing it again. And I keep doing it. If I keep doing this, how many blocks? So each block of the 20 are being divided into quarters. So if I divide 20 blocks into 4 pieces, how many blocks do I get in total? I'll have 80 in the end, because I'll keep going. There we go. Malemo, you got it. You have 20, because we're dividing 1/20th into quarters. So we're making the pieces smaller, smaller and smaller and smaller. If we're dividing a fraction that's already a fraction, if you make it even smaller by dividing it into quarters, you're making more small pieces. Okay, it's like with the pizza. So if I take a quarter of my pizza and I now divide it into half, I'm actually, and I take all my quarters and I divide it into halves, I'm actually creating 8s. So a quarter of 20ths, that is going to actually give me 16/80ths. Okay, right, so that's just a way to think about what happens when we are actually dividing fractions and making them smaller. All right, but we're going to move on now to back to our Smarty fractions that we did on Monday. Just watching the time here because we are already it's already 17:35. Okay, so this is what we did on Monday. We said we have this box of Smarties, 12 Smarties, and we divided it first into 12ths, then 6ths, then quarters, thirds, and a half. And each time we said however many Smarties there were to each time we divided it. Okay, so then we filled out our table, and this is what we got. We said if I divide 12 Smarties by 12, I actually get just 1. So if I take my 12 Smarties and I divide it out into 12 people, I'll only get 1 Smartie. Each person will only get 1 Smartie. But if there are 6 people, I'll divide it out and each person will get 2 Smarties. And if there are 4 people, each one will get 3. So if there are 3 people, each one, that's what we do when we work with fractions. Okay, we are just dividing things up. So a third will be 4 Smarties, and if there are only 2 people, then I'm going to go 6 and 6, and then my Smarties are done. All right. So now we're going to use this to add some fractions, and we are going to start by saying, let's just do it from here. How many Smarties are there in a 1/6 of the box plus a 1/4 of the box? Okay, so you don't need to break your brain about that because we already worked it out. We said a 1/6 of the box was 2 Smarties. So let's write it here. So that is 2 Smarties. And a 1/4 of the box is 3. So if I put that together, and I say, so how many Smarties is that going to be altogether? That gives me 5 Smarties. So if this is 5 Smarties, if I say 1/6 and 1/4 put together gives me 5 Smarties, what fraction is that the same as? So let's go to our table because we did all of this working out already. So we look at this column here, number of Smarties, and we go down to 5, and we see, oh, but 5 Smarties is the same as 5/12 of the box. 5/12. So if we had to write 1/6 plus 1/4, we actually get 5/12 because that's 5 Smarties. So 1/6 plus 1/4 is actually 5/12. Okay, because we saw 5 Smarties is the same as 5/12. So now we're going to use that same thinking to do all of these sums over here. Okay, so we're going to start by saying 1/2 plus 1/3. So 1/2 we said was how many Smarties? That was 6. I'm just going to bring this, no, I can't bring that down, but we can say 1/2 is 6 Smarties. And 1/3 of the box, how many Smarties was that? That was, 1/3 was 4 Smarties. So altogether, let me just write this a little bit differently. So it's 6 Smarties plus 1/3 is 4 Smarties. So altogether for this first one, I get 10 Smarties. And what fraction of the box is that? So you go and you look for number of Smarties, and we look here, number of Smarties, 10, that is 5/6 of a box. Okay, so I'm going to leave you here to do, let's do B, C, D, and E. Use your table, the one that's here, and I think you all know how many Smarties there are for 1/12, 1/6, 1/4, 1/3, and 1/2. Unless I try and do this, make it smaller. I'm just gonna, it won't move altogether. But anyway, give it a go. And then we'll check back in a few minutes. See if you can do B, C, D, and E on your own. If you are done, carry on with the rest. You don't have to stop. So check what is 1/3 of the box. So 1/3 is going to be 4 Smarties plus 1/4. 1/3 and 1/4, that's 4 and 3. So that's 7 Smarties, and that is the same as 7/12. Your answer must be a fraction for all of these. but you can use your Smarty totals to figure out what they are. Okay, 1 more minute. Okay, so let's go back to B. B is a third plus a quarter. So a third is 4 Smarties plus 3 Smarties. You go to your table. That gives you 7 Smarties, and that is 7/12 of the box. Okay. Guys, we don't just go 1/3 plus 1/6 is 2/9. Okay, that's not how it works because we are working with fractions, not numbers or normal whole numbers. We can't just add them like that. So we have to go, okay, so a third is 4 Smarties plus a sixth is 2 Smarties. So that's 4 plus 6 gives me 8. And 8's over here. That is 4/6. You could also have said 8/12, and you could also have said 2/3. 2/3 and 8/12 would also have done the trick. Okay, and then question D is a half plus a 6, so that's 6 Smarties plus 2 Smarties gives you 8 Smarties again. So same answer, I think. Yeah, a half is 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 is 4/6. That's the same as 2/3, and that's the same as 8/12. And our last one, a 12, which is 1 plus a third is 3, so that's 4 Smarties. That's here and here. So you could have said 4/12, and that's the same as 2/6. All right. Okay, guys, we're going to leave it there because it is time for the quiz. And that's it. So I'll see you next Monday, and we'll carry on with fractions. And yeah, so you are free to leave the lesson to do your quiz, and I'll see you Monday. Bye. The quiz link is in the chat.
For the new people, once you click the quiz link, it's just going to take you back to the lesson link, okay? So you scroll down and it should say start quiz somewhere there. But if it first wants you to log in, then you just log in with the same details you logged in to get to the lesson. Okay.
Okay, Mpho, I'll take your question.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Ma'am, at school, we did not do it like that. Now I don't understand.
What do you mean like that? Which part?
You see, ma'am, on fractions, ma'am, we plus the numbers until they can reach the next number. The denominator, we don't, the bottom numbers, we don't plus. The top ones we do.
Yes, I said you must not do this. That's what I said. Must not do that.
No, ma'am, I'm saying that at the bottom of a fraction, right, there's 1/2.
Yes.
2, we don't plus it at all. We only plus 1.
With what? So
Right,
what would your answer be for a half plus a third, what would your answer be?
A half plus a third. We'll rather put ma'am, can I make an example?
Yes, sure, go for it.
Ma'am, we rather put the 1/3 times times 3, which is 1/3 times 3/1.
Yeah, but
Then-
this is timesing. This is timesing. This is not adding.
Yes,
What we
ma'am.
did today is adding.
Okay, ma'am. Then put an add at the times.
Yeah, because if you are doing that, that is different again. That's 3 1/3. We're adding a third to 3, and that's 3 1/3.
No, ma'am, that's not how we do it.
So how do you do it?
As we say that 1/3 plus 2/2.
Why is it not 2/2?
Because now we have to make the denominators the same.
Are we still doing the same sum, or are we doing this sum here?
No, I'm not doing the same.
This is a new sum.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you make the denominators the same.
Yes, ma'am. If they don't make them the same, then make them different, but they must be the same.
How do
But
you
ma-
make them the same?
Let's say 3 times 2 and then 2 times 3. 3
How do you
times
know what? How do you know what to multiply by?
because add
What do you
2
make them the same as?
I said 3 times 2,
Yeah.
the 2 that's there. And then
We
I
used
said
the 2.
yes, ma'am. And then I
Yeah.
said 2 times 3, which will give me 6.
And then
Which then it's going to the denominator is gonna be the same. It's gonna be 1/6 plus 2/6.
so now we've times the 3 and the 2, but a third is not, and we've said that to add this, you see, if we can't just times the 3 by 2, because we're saying a third is now the same as a sixth, but a third and a sixth are not the same thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think you
That's
must
how
go ask your teacher how you did it. And when we do this in class with the Smarty fractions, I just want you to think about what we're doing here, okay? And just think it through and like do the things in class that we are doing. And then when you're with your teacher, just ask her about that, because I'm not sure that that is correct, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, may you please explain your method again?
No, we're just using the example with the Smarties. So we're just using this, we did this here when we said how much is each of these fractions, and then we filled it in the table. And then when we look at what is a half plus a third, so a half plus a third, half of the pack of Smarties is 6 Smarties, and a third of the pack of Smarties is 4 Smarties. So altogether, that will be 10 Smarties. So then I just go on my table and I see, oh yes, 10. And that, because of the previous work we did on Monday, when we figured all of this out, we said, oh, 10 Smarties is actually 5/6.
Okay, ma'am, I understand.
Yeah. So this is much easier actually than trying to figure out what to multiply, and then you forget to multiply something and you don't know why you multiply. But it is just something for you to understand what you are doing with fractions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.